Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to this morning's legislative brief and thank you for being here to discuss legislative interests of our commissioners. Today's meeting is an opportunity for the Board of Commissioners to share what our legislative interest areas are with our elected officials who are at the state, to see where we may have mutual interest and to let you know the interest that we hope to have your support in advocating for down at the Capitol. This does not preclude any individual commissioner or elected official from seeking support on their individual interest, but it does provide a formal way of us letting you know what we will support collectively. I would like to thank each of our state elected officials who are on the call, all of our commissioners and others. I know it's bright and early on a Friday, and I hope that you find this meeting valuable, and hopefully it helps to provide a bit of a roadmap of interest that the county would like to pursue this year. Our agenda may be before you, but if not, I'll just read it briefly. That following my welcome, we'll have an opening by our representative, David Wilkerson, and I will recognize the attendees who are with us today. Next, I'll talk about my observations of policy areas that I would like to see us pursue as a board. We'll talk about specific policy issues that have come up. The delegation will then have opportunity to share policy areas that they have interest in, and then we can collaboratively discuss any additional initiatives. So with that, again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, I know that everyone has had a busy week. Our legislators may still have a busy day at the Capitol, and I certainly appreciate you being here today so we can find out where our mutual interests are. With that, David, I'm going to turn things over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chairman, and all the commissioners and fellow elected officials. Typically, we would do this in December, but with all the transition going on in multiple areas, I agreed that it would be good to do this in January after the new board got in and you guys had a chance to talk. So I'm just wanted to say thank you for being here, and I see some of the my colleagues on here as well. I don't know if you want to introduce them or if we just want to move forward, because I see some of the names, but I know I'll miss them if I try to name them. But we just are here for you and to start that dialogue. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, appreciate it. Now, I'm going to do my best to identify the attendees that we have here today. And if I do not call anyone, by all means, please let me know that you're here. This is in no particular order, but this morning I have Senator Kay Kirkpatrick, Representative Roger Bruce, Representative Terry Anulowicz, Representative Burt Reeves, Representative Eric Allen, of course, Representative David Wilkerson, Commissioner Burrell, Senator Jen Jordan, Chief Magistrate Brendan Murphy, Chief Probate Kelly Wolk, Superior Court Administrator Christopher Hansard, Clerk of State Court Robin Bishop, Tax Commissioner Carla Johnson, and with also Judge Leonard I see is with us. And also within the county, we have our HR Director Tony Hagler, our Public Services Director Bill Tanks, our Support Services Director Sharon Stanley, our DOT Director Erica Parrish, our Water Systems Director Judy Jones, our Department of Public Safety Director Randy Kreider, our Community Development Director Jessica Gwynn, our Finance Director Bill Volkman, and I see that we're also joined by Commissioner Kelly Gambrill and Commissioner Monique Sheffield. Okay, and also I believe we have Commissioner Jerica Richardson also with us. And I apologize, on my screen I can only see but so many of you. Did I call everyone who's here? Is there anyone else who's joined us today who would like to be recognized?
Sheriff Owens is on the line as well.
I'm sorry? Oh, Sheriff
Sheriff.
Owens. Oh, thank you,
Yes.
Sheriff Owens. Appreciate you joining us here today.
And this is Representative Sharon Cooper. I'm on the phone.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you for joining us here today. Just administratively, this is an informal open discussion, and I will ask that you please feel free to unmute your mic at any time that you wish to speak. I know that a lot of us have a tight schedule, so just chime in as you see fit. For this year, our policy focus, or what I've observed as a policy focus, could be viewed as being community-oriented. And our goal is to ensure that those that live in Cobb County know that our county endorses a guiding principle of supporting legislative issues that directly increase their quality of life or increases the efficiency of county government. With that, these 5 policy areas jumped out at me as areas of interest over the past year. The first one is in public health, that I would like to see us support initiatives that enable us to address the COVID-19 health pandemic and improve the overall health of Cobb County citizens, including addressing health issues that have a disproportionate detriment to our citizens. The next area is with transportation and transit, to support policies that strengthen our transportation network and that help to relieve congestion, improve safety, reduce trip times, and support commerce. Also, I'd like to see us support policies that improve mobility to provide our citizens reasonable access to work, education, recreation, and improve quality of life. Third, in the area of elections, my interest is to have support for initiatives that enable full and fair access to voting. Fourth, which you typically may not see at the state level, but I understand there is some legislation that may address policing. So with that, I'd like to support policies that foster safety across all communities and safety for our public safety personnel. Finally, I'd like to see us support housing that supports access to safe, healthy, quality housing for all of our citizens across the county and across income levels. So I figured I'd stop there and we can discuss those specific policy issues to see if anyone has any questions or would like to add anything before we talk about specific policy issues. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding those?
No questions for me.
Okay, great. In that case, we might be at by 8:20 a.m. this morning.
Oh,
I was expecting vigorous debate. Okay. Some of our specific policy issues came about with discussion from some of our elected officials. The first bullet that we have here is one that we addressed during our state legislators meeting back in December at the Cobb Chamber. And again, if there's any issues of redistricting or cityhood, we just ask that the commissioners have a seat at the table to be able to discuss those with you, as those will have an impact on each of us and how we govern. Second, this has come up by way of state legislator to address commissioner salary bill equalizing the pay for all came up internally, to equalize the pay for all district commissioners. Over the past 8 years, commissioners have been able to opt in or out of whether or not they get a raise. And particularly it became noticeable as we've had new commissioners come in that there is disparity in pay among the commissioners that should be addressed. And we ask for your support in doing that.
will you make a formal recommendation to the legislators on that? Because I think it's one commission that is lower than all the other three. Will you guys be making a formal request? That's typically how we would handle these type of things, because make sure it's budgeted, that you guys just want to ask for that equalization.
Okay, great.
Madam Chair, this is Bert Reeves.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Hi, Bert.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Question with that, and I'm not familiar with any.
I'm
Are you
sorry,
saying that- is there a
Bert, your
difference
signal
in
is, can you repeat again? Your signal was in and out initially.
Okay. Let me know if you can't hear me.
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Is the issue that there are certain commission seats that are slotted at a different starting salary rate, or is the issue tenure and experience? Obviously, the longer you're with in any position, you're subject to getting raises. So is the issue? Obviously, my expectation would be that there would be some commissioners have been there longer that have received pay raises, and that would make sense to me if the county is giving pay raises. But my question is, there are certain commission district seats that are slotted at a different salary, starting salary, or is it just a matter of folks getting raises over the years?
They have different starting salaries. I understand it may be an issue of the base salary. No, it's not.
No, I can answer that.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that, because I was thinking the same thing, Representative Reeves. I looked at the bill that we passed in 2019. Basically, Commissioner Ott decided to decline his raises over the last couple of years. And so what happened is Commission District 2 stayed lower than all the other three. So the other three districts, 1, 3, and 4, are all at the same salary. It's not based on tenure. It's all, there's just the same salary. And then because those raises were declined for Commission District 2, there's a difference between them. I'll shoot you that bill over today so you can kind of see what the difference is. And but that's it. Basically, we would have to decide if we want to just change it to Commission Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 all make the same thing. But it's not based on tenure.
Thank you, Representative. Does anyone else have questions regarding that? Okay. The next issue deals with eligible expenditures under our SPLOST program. As certainly the way of operating has evolved, we are now utilizing more technology. And the way the SPLOST code is written, we are not able to include cloud-based software as an expenditure. And so we'd ask for support in modifying the code so we can include that as an eligible project. Next, there have been proposed revisions to the Georgia Utility Facility Protection Act, which will adversely affect Cobb County. If traffic control devices and traffic management systems, there have exemptions that are removed that are not necessary, and if the county is required to join the 811 system, the cost to the county could exceed $500,000. So this issue has been brought to light by our Department of Transportation, and we ask for your help with that. Finally, on our list, we ask for you to help with any assistance possible to help Cobb County secure grant funding for the renovation and expansion of Gritter's Library. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions regarding those? Okay. Then lastly, we've had two measures that we'll have to continue to research, but as a matter of fact, I'm jumping at us towards the end of our agenda, but it is a specific issue, and since we haven't had a lot of discussion, we can go ahead and address it now. Our Cobb County court system is requesting a local bill to approve a technology fee not to exceed $5 on civil cases due at filing and on fines imposed following conviction in criminal cases. I wanted to learn a little bit more about what fees persons have to pay when they are in our civil court system, and so I didn't move that up because I haven't had that conversation yet. But I understand that Judge Leonard, are you with us?
I'm here.
Yes, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. What we're seeking on behalf of the courts is, as you said, is a fee of up to $5 per civil filing. And on cases where a fine is imposed following conviction, up to $5. What I would propose is the establishment of a board comprised of the chief judges of each different class of court, as well as the clerk of court, knowing that those judges will know best what cases in their courts should be carved out. For example, in Superior Court, I would say, I don't ever want anybody coming up and applying for a protective order to have that kind of surcharge added on to them. And Judge Murphy may say, well, over in magistrate court, I think this class of cases would be important to carve out. So I think each of those courts would know best what should be exempted from it. What this would not do is it would not have any impact on those that are filing indigently. If we have an affidavit that's on the website, they can fill out and people can proceed in form of papyrus where they have their fees waived. So those people would be obviously exempted from any kind of fee. So we would not be having any additional hurdle to access to justice. What we just want to do is we want to be prepared and be nimble as we move forward. Court today looks nothing like it did a year ago. I will tell you unequivocally, I'm very proud of what Cobb County has done. We are a model for the state of Georgia in conducting virtual hearings, but it has been a challenge. I will tell you for sure, we were blessed to receive CARES money that really helped us stand up our virtual courts. And we don't want to be caught unprepared in the future, and there's a greater need and a greater dependence on technology. We need to be able to keep that stuff upgraded and to kind of stay on the cutting edge. I will give you an example of the need that occurred this week. One of my colleagues had a close contact on their staff. Staff attorney is out and isolating. I get a call. I need her to work remotely. I need a laptop. I go looking, we have exactly 0 laptops available in the Superior Court to have that employee work remotely. Now I've got a critical employee, an essential employee who's been out 5 days this week, unable to work at home. So those are the kinds of things that I would have sent out an email that morning. The governing board that would look at that fund would have approved, the expenditure of a laptop. We would have been at Best Buy by lunch and have a laptop to them by the end of the day. That's the kind of stuff that we're just not equipped to do right now. So what we're proposing is a separate but dedicated fund to be able to use for the courts for those unbudgeted, unplanned for expenses. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Is there another way the county can fund that? I know there's been a hesitancy on some to add any additional fees when someone's convicted. And down at the Capitol, a lot of times it's not coming from Cobb, but just in general, we like to add fees onto everything. And I know it's needed. Is there any resources from the county they could provide?
That's a question I'm not really equipped to answer, Representative Wilkerson. That'd be a finance question across the street. What I would be looking for is just the ability to be a little more nimble. It's the kind of thing that going through the purchasing process and going through IS has always been very helpful to us. But what I'm thinking of is things that come up that you sort of need to respond to kind of quickly. This would be. This is the kind of thing that it could be used for many different things. It could be used for, for example, the other day I got a call from IS and they let me know, hey, Judge, we've been doing these probation violation warrants the same way since probably I was in high school. And they let me know, hey, the judges in magistrate court and state court have been using these electronic warrants for about a decade now. And I said, all right, sign me up. I want to do that. Let me get my court into the right century. And so we approved that in the Superior Court. The IS says we will support it going forward. That's about $7,000 a year for IS to support that going forward. But there's a $15,000 fee that's due up front to the vendor for development and to get that ready for Superior Court. They said we don't have it. We didn't have it in the court administration budget, so I have to go I have to go scrambling, and I'm asking, well, can I get money from my clerk? Can I get money from the Department of Community Supervision? How do we do it? So it's those kind of expenditures. Representative Wilkerson is what we're interested in, kind of keep us on the forefront and keep us efficient, which is what you all would expect us to do.
Thank you. This is,
I have a question.
go ahead. Please announce
This is-
yourself. Yes.
This is Commissioner Gambrell. Why weren't funds used from the CARES monies to purchase laptops to have your employees work from home? I know on the spreadsheets that we received, there was extensive laptops used explicitly for the purpose of working from home.
Superior Court did not receive any laptops from the CARES money. Superior Court did benefit from technology renovations in the courthouse, as did every other court in the judicial circuit. So now, Commissioner Gambrell, if you came into my courtroom today, it would look somewhat like a taco mac, right? We've got digital evidence monitors everywhere. We've got echo noise canceling systems where we're able to do virtual court without all that feedback that you typically get in these kind of meetings, where you can do a hybrid hearing where you've got somebody present in your courtroom and you've got others remotely on the other end. It's a beautiful system. We are blessed to have received that CARES money to help us stand that up. Laptops for the court just was not included in that.
Commissioner Gambrell, this
That was
is
above my pay grade. Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioner Gambrell and Judge. This is Dr. McMorris, County Manager. Just want to clarify, whatever your needs are, Judge, we would certainly be amenable to addressing those. We did receive a request for iPads for your jurors to use. We provided those. I'm in conversation with IS right now, and as Commissioner Gambrell has asked, we asked everyone what their needs were to include any PPE, any technology, so that we could keep employees who could work from home at home. So if laptops were asked for, we do not have that recorded on our spreadsheet, but certainly are willing to have a conversation with you offline to see what your needs are.
We appreciate that, Dr.
Absolutely.
Judge, this is Representative Allen. I think some of the more critical questions have already been asked, but I know that there's going to be a committee that kind of helps stand this up if we were to move forward with it.
Yes.
How much revenue, how much in fees do you think you will collect or need to collect? Have you guys looked at a number?
That's a tough question to answer until we know which cases need to be carved out of it. So you could go on raw numbers with previous case counts. Of course, 2020 is not a good year to be looking at case counts. Those numbers don't mean as much as they used to, just because of the nature of COVID. But what we would do is we would go to each of those classes of court. We would try to identify which cases the fee should be applied on and should not be, and then get a number. As I sit here right now, I don't know what that looks like, because I want to, I want Judge Bowers to be heard out of state court. He should be able to say these kinds of cases don't need to have that fee and these do. And same thing with Judge Murphy and Judge Walk and Judge Karanis. So we will. That's something that we can study, and I'd be happy to get back with you on, whether it be in committee or somewhere else after we kind of flesh that out. Additionally, if there's some hesitancy about putting it on criminal convictions, possibly we could just go the civil route, civil and traffic, and maybe carve out felonies. I don't know. I'm open for the discussion. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me ask it a different way, kind of to what Commissioner Gambrell and Dr. McMorris hit on, is if you were to go to the county to ask for funds for this, do you have a number of what that request would be?
I do not. Okay. As I sit here, I just don't know what that number looks like, Representative Allen.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, Judge Leonard, this is Chairwoman Cupid. I have a question to understand how this fee amount is determined relative to other fees? Are your other fees, are they at $5, $1, $2? How does this compare?
So most of the fees are set by the General Assembly, and when they get collected on a fine, they get collected in a certain order. And so, for example, in a criminal case, if I've imposed a $100 fine on somebody, there would be a 10% added for somebody's retirement. There'd be another 5% for like a jail surcharge. You know, there are all these different surcharges, and they get collected in a certain order. So number one, the technology fee, being a local bill, would fall at the very end of those collections. So somebody would have to pay their case completely off before the $5 was ever received.
Okay.
We don't have any real local, any additional local surcharges that really apply on those. They're all set by the General Assembly. And there are different numbers of them for different kinds of cases. You know, there's like a different surcharge for a drug case, and there's different surcharges for DUI cases, and those are all set by statute.
Okay, thank you. Are there any additional questions? Thank you, Judge Leonard. We appreciate you responding today.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I look forward to further discussions, and I'll make myself available at any committee meetings or any future meetings that the delegation holds.
Thank you, we appreciate it. The next specific measure that we have here, which would need additional research, is to consider a local bill to help determine a procedure for setting constitutional officer and staff salaries. Is there anyone here who'd like to address that?
I'll go ahead and take a stab at it. If you mean from the legislative side?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so historically, and anybody who served as chair, or, you know, whether it's Carson or, you know, years before that, knows that the county sets their salaries. They do your budgeting process. You set your salaries, you pay for it. But for the constitutionally created the positions that we create legislatively, we have historically approved those raises after the commission has approved them. It's just a sign off, and typically it goes through. I think we're one of the only counties that actually do that. So there's been talk over the years, do we need to be in the business of approving the raises that you budget yourself, you pay for yourself, you manage yourself, and you're responsible to taxpayers for? And so, you know, my preference would be that we let you set those salaries similar to what we do for some of the other positions. The constitutionally created positions like the county commissioners, I think we would still maintain that probably. But this is really like your chief deputy or your, you know, tax commissioner, or your chief clerk or something like that. Those type positions. And that would be a local bill, and that would make us consistent with pretty much all the other counties.
Thanks, David. I have seen some variations from different counties where those additional salaries, like the chief deputy, they all hinge off of one salary, and they may be a percentage of that, so it becomes more formulaic. So I just ask for our staff to help provide some of that research into what different counties are doing, so we can have something reasonable to offer should we move forward with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is a time for me to go in or not, but I think it is critically important that we do address this shortcoming as we discussed with the commissioners earlier regarding the salaries. This is for my executive staff, because we're well behind the Metro Atlanta area. Right now, we're the lowest staff in the sheriff's office in the state. Being the third largest sheriff's office in Georgia, we're not paid equally to our peers in the Metro Atlanta area. But even for that part, not even making comparable salary toward the police chiefs. So I would ask that we really look at this salary disbursement and how we can get along with everyone else and be fair and parity across the board with the sheriff's office.
Hey, could I say something about that?
Yes, please announce your, yes, go ahead.
Kirkpatrick here. Just these salary issues can be highly political when they get down to the Capitol. And the more that can be done at the county level, the better, because you know, we had a huge budget issue last year, and our budget this year isn't looking too hot either. And so when you put pay raises in the perspective of what's going on with the overall budget in the state, it can really be a problem. And some of those went down in flames last year. So if you guys can figure out a way to leave us out of that conversation as much as possible, that'd be great.
Thank you for that
Thank you,
advice.
Senator. Yeah, this is Representative Wilkerson, and thank you for saying that, Senator, because you're right. It's a lonely feeling sometimes walking around those salary bills and asking everybody to sign on it, and sometimes you just never know what's going to happen. And I just think that I drafted a bill and I also did a delegation. I know there are some members that prefer that we stay in that business, but I think that now the time may be right. But thank you for saying that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any additional comments? Thank you. With that, I'm going to turn things over to you, David, if you have any policy areas that you would like to share with us here at the county.
Well, I'm going to back up two things. One, and I think Commissioner Gambrill touched on it, as far as the CARES money, DC seems to be in the mood, continue to help the counties and states. A request would be, like Judge Leonard said, is he has needs, and I know you go to the county level, but if you could, going forward, try to include the legislators and other elected officials a little more, because while we may not have control of the money, we probably have some insight that would be beneficial. As you know, because a couple of, like the school systems, for example, getting $72 million, I think. We probably hear a lot from our constituents on some ideas that we might think would be helpful. And it's their call, but I think going forward, it'd be helpful because we do this every January to make sure we're addressing your needs. And so it would be good to kind of go the other way, would be one thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then the second piece is redistricting. I'll go ahead and touch on that. It's not political and all, so I'll go ahead and touch on that briefly. But as far as redistricting, the normal process is, actually, let me start where here, is because we have a very close amount of numbers, like 3 in the Senate, they're Democrats, 3 are Republican, and it's, 8-7 in the House. What you're going to probably see is you're going to have a collaborative approach on how we handle redistricting. So that's a good thing. With that said, historically, the delegation is the one responsible for drawing the line. So we'll definitely reach out to the commissioners and the school board, but it falls on the legislative delegation to draw those maps. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up that while we may ask, we probably aren't expecting you guys to come with a map and we adopt it, put it that way. I may be wrong for some of those that have been here a long time, but typically it's something that we discuss internally and then with the feedback from the commissioners. I don't know if anybody else wants to add on to that.
Yeah, that feedback loop is very important. This is Chairwoman Cupid. That feedback loop is very important, at least for you to hear what some of our concerns are. I know that back when this was done and was made in effect in 2016, I did have some dialogue with some of the representatives that I found particularly helpful, so we can keep some particular assets intact that were part of a community and they're the same governance of a district commissioner. So that's all that we can ask for, understanding that this is certainly in your wheelhouse. We just ask that you would be mindful in considering our interest, and likewise, I want to be able to return the same as we have CARES dollars to be able to consider yours.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would say that's definitely the case because the goal is to keep those communities of interest together, and you will know much better than we will as far as some of the communities of interest. But I just wanted to, err on the side of caution that if you guys come talk to some of the legislators, they may say, well, historically it's been our job. So, but yes, we will definitely have to lean on you as far as, I know where the covered bridge is, but I can't tell you the communities of interest that are around it, and you guys can tell us those, and whether it's Hurt Road or whether it's East Cobb. So I think that will definitely be beneficial. But I just want to make sure that since so many people are new and it's going to be their first time going through the process, that the expectation is not that you call legislative council to go draw the maps and bring them to us.
Okay.
You know, that we'll drive the bus, but we'll definitely let you help guide where we're going.
That's appreciated.
This is Senator Rett, this Doc. I just wanted to add something to that. I've been selected to serve on the Senate Redistricting Committee. So if you need any information, you need somebody who to work with, who's involved with it, just feel free to give a call.
Thank you, Senator Rett. You're keeping us guessing this morning here, Senator Rett.
Well, looks like he's getting a workout in. Chairwoman Cupid, I want to. It's similar to lines, but earlier you talked about the cityhood possibilities. Is the commission going to take a position on cityhood, or is it just more of wanting to be informed and included?
I would say right now it's the latter, just to be informed and included, at least from the last poll that I've taken. There are other commissioners on the line. They're more than welcome to share.
This is Commissioner Gambrell. I don't know if we have anyone from our legal department on, but I don't know if as a board we can legally become involved in a legislative issue of cityhood. So that would be my question back is, are we even legally supposed to be involved in that type of an action?
Ultimately, I mean, it'd be to the legislature whether they want to approve the bill and then the citizens to vote on it. But I mean, as far as the board goes or the individual commissioners, they sure could take a stand on whether they're in favor of it or whether they're not in favor of it. But it would probably not be a board decision, but an individual commissioner decision, how it would impact their particular district. And I'm sorry, this is Bill Rolling. I'm the county attorney, and I'm in the meeting here with Commissioner Cupid, our Chairman Cupid.
I make that mistake more than anyone else. Thank you.
Yes, Chair Cupid, this is Commissioner Burrow.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Some of us did take a stand last year against or for cityhood, but that was a different map. That was the original map that was submitted, and I understand that there's going to be some revisions, and that's why. So it's to me, it's too premature right now to take a stand till we see the boundaries or what is being proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other questions or comments regarding this matter? If not, David, I'm going to turn things back again over to you for any other delegation policy issues.
No, I'll open it up if any of the folks on the call have any items they would like to go over. Just jump in.
Okay, I'll go.
Yes, Senator.
I'm very concerned about what we have going on with our vaccination distribution, and I'm working closely with DPH and also Cobb Douglas Public Health to try to make sure that we are maximizing our use of our allocation of the vaccine. Right. And so hopefully that's front burner for all of us. Yeah. And then in terms of what I personally am working on, I got some insurance reform bills coming up, and also have two bills that have to do with Cobb County situations that came up. One of them is Senate Bill 4 that impacts patient brokering in the recovery community. And that's sort of a redo from last year because we didn't finish everything last year. And then Senate Bill 5 has to do with outpatient sedation, and that's based on two people that died in Cobb County having surgery with sedation and Medi-Spas in our county. So those bills have already been dropped. And then I'm happy to be chairman of the Veterans Military Committee for this biennium, and also I'm serving on that Joint Defense Commission representing Dobbins. So that's a high priority for me personally. So if you have any input on anything related to that, let me know.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you for
Hey, this is
sharing.
Bert.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, this is Bert Reeves, and I would like to add too, I did working with some of the folks in the governor's office and with our school superintendents in Cobb on teachers, on trying to prioritize teachers, and this is a complicated issue. This is one where the onion has a lot of layers that we peel back, and I think that everybody that's on this call is tuned into this and understands that this is in an age where I understand a lot of things are political. This is frankly not political. The reality is that Georgia receives from the federal government 11,400 something back a day or something to that effect, which is not a lot of vaccines. And there's a lot of debate about the usage of those and whatnot. And I know that that's being worked on, and I know that we're seeing a lot of events. I want to try to do everything that I can to prioritize our educators and teachers so that they're at a higher priority, that they're added hopefully to, if not next phase, then shortly thereafter. But everybody on this call and every leader in this county needs to be on the same page and understand we can prioritize individuals all day long, but we have a supply issue.
Yes.
That is an enormous issue. And then there's a portion of those supplies that are going to Walgreens. There's a portion of those supplies that are going to healthcare facilities where workers over parts of this are refusing to get the vaccine. And there are enormous issues going on with this. And I want advertising, get educators so that eligible to receive it, but everybody, I know that this is an issue where a lot of criticism is being handed out politically, and obviously on top of all of this, we have change that is going to occur in 5 days, and I have no idea what kind of changes is going to come with Operation Warp Speed. If it'll be the same or if it will be better, I don't know. That remains to be seen. But no matter what we do, our ability to receive supply is the number one issue that we're facing right now.
Yes.
With this vaccine. And while there may be some things that we could control, and I know that we're working on getting that, it would take almost a year at the current pace of 11,000 vaccines a day. It would take almost a year for our entire state to get vaccinated. And that is a reality that as county leaders, we all have to embrace that and try to avoid the political sparring that comes from all this.
Yes.
There's nothing that Georgia can do right now to increase that. Maybe in time there will be, but this is our reality right now. And I mainly say that obviously this has been on my mind, but I want everybody on this meeting to know that I'm working very hard to try to get our educators. It's absolutely critical. If we are encouraging and wanting schools to stay in session, it's critical that our educators get this vaccine. I'm trying to do everything that I can behind the scenes to try to increase their priority.
Thank you. I couldn't agree with you more about us recognizing what the number one issue is about supply and us not sparring amongst each other, but doing what we can to help and recognize the serious issue of our teachers in the classroom right now. So thank you for your comments. Yeah,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there anyone else?
This is Doc, Senator Redd again.
Yes, our exerciser.
Yeah, I want to add on that Senator Kirkpatrick and I, we both serve on the Veterans Committee, and she's the chair, and we have just both co-sponsored a bill
Okay.
to help disabled veterans from your state income tax. The
Okay.
refund you get from that, you can donate $1 to help disabled veterans. Senator Kirkpatrick and I, we co-sponsors on that, and we got just about everybody in the Senate to sign on, including the President Pro Tem.
Very good.
So you can. Also, I just want to go back again to redistricting. This is my first redistricting, and being appointed to the committee is going to be interesting. But one thing I did find out is that you can kind of collaborate on how you may want your district to look, but ultimately the state legislature has to approve it. So I would suggest very strongly that you be practical and then work closely with your state representatives, especially if you're fortunate to have somebody on one of the committees like myself. That's just FYI. I appreciate it. I'm almost finished here.
Thank you. You're
This
encouraging all of
Representative
us
Bruce.
with our New Year's. Go
I
ahead.
wanted to, this Representative Bruce, I
Yes,
wanted to say
Representative.
something too. Are you with me? Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
Go ahead, Representative.
Yeah, a couple of things. I was of the impression already that teachers were included in the next phase. I mean, that's been announced a couple of times. So, my wife is a teacher, so I'm pushing that very, very hard too. And I was told that they were in the next phase to get the vaccine.
Okay.
Additionally, with regard to redrawing these maps, things are going to be changing in Washington. I'm hoping that we're going to reinstate the pre-clearance portion of the Voter Rights Act. I hope that's one of the things that happens to make sure that we are not doing things that we shouldn't be doing. You know, Georgia kind of went a little crazy after that got removed, and how they want to draw these lines. You know, we want these lines to be drawn fairly, and to keep communities of like concern together. So hopefully, you know, we'll be able to get all of this stuff approved through the federal programs too. Some of the other things that I was working on, I guess that's what this portion was about, was to reinstate or to look at how the state is spending this, you know, $27 billion in revenue, and to make sure that as we are purchasing things, that we are being fair with minority businesses, and you know, making sure that some of these contracts go to minority-owned and women-owned businesses. There's a House Bill 78 that will address setting up the study committees to make sure that we know exactly what we're doing.
Okay.
Another issue is around homelessness. I don't know if it's as bad in Cobb as it is in some other places, but we have people living on the streets. You know, they've set up little tent villages along the highway and other places. But these people are not getting medical attention, and even if we are out here, this vaccine, if they're not somehow getting the medical attention that they need, then that keeps this virus going. So there's legislation that has been proposed that would create something similar to these MASH type military places on property that is not being used for other purposes, where the National Guard could set up and provide food, clothing, shelter, and medical attention to people who are homeless. And a lot of times these people now are homeless not because of anything that they've done. They just, you know, they lost their job because of the virus, and couldn't pay their mortgages, couldn't pay their rent, and now they're on the street. And we need to be doing things to help those that really need help. So those are some of the things I'm working on. Oh, and the last thing, I'm sorry, is a voter, make it easier for people to vote by them being able to go and vote at any precinct within their county. if the county is technically prepared to do it. It would basically be whatever they're doing for early voting, they would be able to do it on election day as well. So those are the three bills that I'm working on.
Thank you, Representative.
Madam Chairman, this is Sheriff Owens.
Yes, sir.
Can I have the floor for a second?
Yes, sir.
And this probably more so is directed at Doc Rett regarding the veterans. And my question would be is, are we working on any bills currently that would assist our veterans that has been incarcerated? As you know, once they've been over 30 days, most of their benefits will stop because they can't make an appointment. Then they have to go through the whole initiation process again, which could be anywhere from 6 months or longer to get back in that program. I'm kind of concerning to me if we can get that something started so they can continue to get their benefits. Not saying that it would be a cost saving, but it would be for me because meds will come from the VA and I wouldn't have to provide so much medical support for them, but they still will never get cut off and they always will stay on their meds as prescribed. Is anything being talked about that for our veterans going forward?
Before I came to the Senate, I used to work in the city of Atlanta at Jefferson Place with recidivism, and that was a problem of trying to get them reinstated. But we can get together with Senator Kirkpatrick, who's the chair of the Veterans Committee, and we can discuss it and see about crafting some legislation to address that. I'd be happy to work with you.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheriff. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, Chairwoman Cupid, I just want to put it on the radar. I don't want to discuss, I don't think it's appropriate to discuss in detail today. But as we move forward with the litigation and legislation around stereogenics, I'd like to make sure that we're staying in contact. There's a public hearing on February 9th and 10th, or public comment period opens on February 9th and 10th, where EPD is putting into the permitting process for stereogenics some of the elements of what I proposed through legislation. And so I want to make sure that everybody's in lockstep with what's going on with that and how it's going to impact not only the county and the residents, but also maybe the litigation that's going on. The second thing, I know a lot of you guys have probably read the article in NBJ about the fireworks bill I introduced yesterday. I just want to make it clear to you guys as I worked with Mayor Norton and Terry Nullowitz, who also sat on the city council at one point. What we're simply trying to do with that is just restore some of the ability for local municipalities, counties to, if they choose, there's nothing required, but give them the tools if they choose to be able to restrict some of those timeframes where fireworks are able to be discharged. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. I know I've talked with some of you about it in the past, but if you do have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you, Representative.
Yeah, this is Representative Anelowitz, and I enthusiastically signed on to that legislation when Representative Allen brought it to me. I was on the city council when fireworks were initially legalized in the county. And one of the things that always vexed me is that cities and counties in the state of Georgia have more authority over how they can control how and where and whether alcohol is sold in their cities. You know, Sunday sales is the example that comes to mind, than they do about fireworks. And my stance has always been, if the state of Georgia trusts these local governments, these cities and counties, to have the wherewithal to be able to manage Sunday sales, those same municipalities and counties, it should be assumed that they also have the wherewithal to manage fireworks in their communities.
Thank you. Received. We appreciate
I agree
that.
with that. This is Representative Wilkerson, and Judge Leonard put it in there too. I mean, my dog is probably the happiest person in the world if we could do something about fireworks, because every time they hear them, they go crazy. So it should be a local control issue on that. So thank you, Representative Allen.
Thanks. Is there anyone else who'd like to share?
Madam Chair, this is Carla Jackson. Good morning.
Hi, Commissioner.
Hi. So I have a couple of issues. One has already been discussed, so I won't bring that up. But again, the other is has to do with adjusting the current code section regarding the census, the 2020 census that is scheduled. It's my understanding that will be, I guess, official come April. And what I'm particularly concerned with is that 48524 specifies by population when counties can, the due dates and the penalty and interest for their property tax bills. And I'm afraid that if we don't address that, we could be forced to look at a later due date and or installment billing, which of course would affect cash flow for my office.
Commissioner, just for clarification, are you providing that the due date for the taxes will be based off of reporting from the census sometime in April?
Yes. So, and again, specifically, it's code section 48524.
Okay.
And hold on, I'm trying to find. But basically, it divides several counties. We call them population bills, and it defines counties in terms of population. And it just says that if based on your population, this is the due date that you can have for your tax bills. And it even says further that it starts out in all counties having population of not less than X, but more than this. This is what, according to the U.S. Census, this is how you bill. And so currently, with the 2010 census, Cobb was affected by Section E of that code, which allowed us to have the August 15th due date, and I'm sorry, August 15th issue date and a October 15th due date. However, Section B of that same code says that if we are 690 but less than 800,000, which I think that's probably where Cobb would fall, it would require that we do installment billing, meaning that citizens would only have to pay half of their taxes by October, and then the remaining by November 15th. And again, that's significant changes systematically to my office, but also I do think that that would impact cash flow for the county as well as the school board. And so I just wanted to put that on everybody's radar. I'm not sure if the legislators automatically address population laws or not, but I do just want to make everyone aware of that.
This is Representative Wilkerson. You can go ahead and, if you could email that to me, and then we'll take a look at it. And someone else may know about population bills. We don't do them anymore, but I guess we can adjust them. Does anybody more familiar with population bills? If not, you can just send it to me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there anyone else?
This is Representative. Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Commissioner Sheffield here, and I wanted to find out from you guys if there are any updates on the short-term rentals. The Airbnb and the VRBOs or whatever it's called, it's becoming an increasing concern in our communities, not so much necessarily in our covenanted HOA communities, but for homes that are standalone. So do you guys have any updates on where you are with the short-term rental legislation?
This is Representative Ellis. I know there was a study committee. I think the purpose of the study committee ended up changing a little bit to become, and I think it had started out being sort of in favor of leaning towards the short rental companies. I think it ended up changing, but I don't know if any actual legislation recommendations came out of that committee. I do know you're right. It's different because HOAs can change their bylaws to restrict short-term rentals, but other communities and other neighborhoods, that don't have that, which is most of the county, it's a real problem. And this is my own conjecture, I wouldn't anticipate that we would see anything like that this particular session, only because the sort of conventional wisdom that I keep hearing, and I would love for any of my colleagues to chime in, but the conventional wisdom I keep hearing is that we're going to be focused on the budget and vaccines and the pandemic, and that's pretty much going to be it. That's going to be where we put the bulk of our energy this session. Of course, anything can happen, and again, I would love to hear from any of my colleagues about that. That said, I think it's worthwhile to go ahead. I mean, there's been legislation in the past. I think this also comes down to a local control issue, and it's different across the state, right? The needs of folks in Augusta, where they have the masters, for example, where Augusta basically rented short-term rental. They have they've had an oversight system there forever. What you need in Savannah, what you need in Tybee, that's going to be different than what you need in Marietta. And so I think there should be some latitude for the city and county governments to be able to determine what works best for their community within a framework, hopefully, that can be provided by the state.
Okay, thank you.
This is Representative Wilkinson. Is there not something the county can do? Because to Representative Ellis's point, my general, observation is that if we do anything, it would be to stop you from doing anything. It would not be to restrict short-term rentals. The mood seemed to be more in line with trying to stop local governments from putting restrictions on short-term rentals, is what I had been seeing. So
Right.
I don't know if you want us involved in that process, if you can handle it locally through some type of ordinances, or through registration fees or whatever it may be. But that's what I see in other places. But I don't know if you really want us handling it at this point, just based on what I've been hearing.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, it's my understanding, this is Chairwoman Cupid, that our Community Development Department has been assessing this issue with various stakeholder groups. So we may likely see this come forward by way of a code amendment.
Okay.
Is there anyone
Thank
else?
you all. Gambrel, I have a follow-up question for Senator Kay Kirkpatrick.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any updates as far as the status on Dobbins Air Force Base? I know I have a lot of constituents worried about the potential joint endeavors in the future. Do we have any direction on that?
Yeah, there hasn't been any efforts at the federal level to do a base realignment and closure commission like we've seen in the past. But the point of that commission is, one, to prepare in case that does come up in the future, but also to maximize our military installations as an economic driver for the state. So Dobbins was supposed to host the first meeting, but we ended up doing it virtually because of COVID. And I've been talking to the director, and I suspect the next meeting is going to be in April, and we are going to try to host that at Dobbins to kind of showcase that campus and what we've got going on over there. But so far, there hasn't been any rumblings about new BRAC, and hopefully it'll stay that way. But we just want to be prepared if that pops up.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else?
Yes, this is Representative Vanelowitz again. I have actually, Legislative Council is currently drafting a bill. I've been, actually, several representatives and I have been talking to the city of Smyrna over the past several months, sort of that interim between the sessions, about annexations and the parcels that we're talking about. And I can send y'all the maps, and I'm assuming that the city has reached out to y'all, but I have not confirmed that. But I know that the parcels we're talking about, several of them are unincorporated islands. They're in Ward 3 of the Smyrna City Council, which is also in my House district. They are small, parcels of a few lots here and there that the city of Smyrna is already servicing. When those folks call 911, it's the city who comes. The city even picks up a lot of their trash. So we have a bill would incorporate those into the city, those unincorporated islands. The other are either, it's a couple of parcels that are either directly adjacent to or kind of within the Riverview Landing development that the city of Smyrna has down on the Chattahoochee River. Of course, if y'all will recall, when the city originally, and I think Commissioner Cupid, I think you were on the commission at that time, and I was certainly on the Smyrna City Council at that time, but when Riverview Landing, the whole reason it became a part of the city of Smyrna in the first place is because Jamestown Properties wanted to develop that area, and the county actually came to the city and asked the city of Smyrna to go ahead and annex in that part of the county.
No,
and so
ma'am.
these
No,
parcels are
ma'am.
again either.
I assure you that's not how it occurred, but you can continue.
No, I'm happy to pull up. I mean, I'm happy to pull up the minutes. The county came to the city about Riverview Landing because at the time I remember thinking this is too good to be true.
I was the district commissioner of that area at the time, and there was no request on my behalf for that to occur. But I can tell you, I could tell you that the city of Austell is similarly looking for annexing islands. That's something I think that we can take a look at to facilitate, because those service delivery issues are an issue, yes, for us.
Absolutely, and actually, I know that I believe that Representative Thomas is on here, but Representative Thomas, I know she talked to Mayor Clemens, and those parcels are going to be included in this bill also. We thought it would be easier to just go ahead and put them together.
Wonderful.
As unincorporated islands.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Commissioner Gambrell. While we're talking about this bill addressing islands in unincorporated Cobb in relationship to the city of Smyrna, are you looking to do that with any of the other of our 6 cities?
The one from Austell was initiated by the city of Austell. I don't know if Smyrna initiated this action, Representative Anulowitz.
Yeah. All of them were initiated by the cities. So if there are any other cities, they could follow the same process that Smyrna and Austell did by reaching out to their legislators.
That's correct.
And so has the county been informed of these potential annexations as well, or will we not learn about them until legislation comes out?
Yes, I've sat down with the mayor. He reached out to me. I believe he reached out to Commissioner Sheffield for Austell. Commissioner Sheffield, I believe if they haven't happened, that's on his radar to do that. But
yeah, Mayor Clemens and I will have a conversation this afternoon.
Okay.
And it's my understanding that Councilman Lewis Wheaton has spoken to you also, Commissioner Sheffield.
Yeah, he just sent me a text this morning actually regarding the Oakdale project. So he and I will get together later in the day as well.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? Or is there anyone else who wants to chime in on that topic?
This is Representative Thomas. Again, the intention, of course, is to make sure that everyone is in the loop. Of course, top priority is are the people that have those districts. So, of course, again, like you said, the mayor has reached out to me because it's primarily my district. He has reached out to Lisa. He's reached out to everyone that has that piece of the district. And really, to be honest with you, this is something that should have happened years ago. These are just islands within the city, and they need to be taken care of to make sure that they get the proper resources like their next door neighbor.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Anulowitz, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to share what they may be initiating? Okay, with that, I would like to thank everyone for your time. I believe our Deputy County Manager would like to share a few words.
Thank you, Chairwoman Cupid. While realize most of you may feel like this is punishment. We have traded in Dr. McMorris's pretty face for this ugly mug. So I am your new person that will be dealing with you on legislative issues. We look forward to seeing you down at the House when things open back up. I want to echo what Representative Wilkerson said, though. Normally, we will do this process in the winter, during December. We will try to have everyone back together as long as the virus is under control. We'll cook you some good grits and eggs and bacon. Make sure you go away happy and present our legislative agenda to you in December. So just because of the circumstances around this year is the reason we're doing it today. But please do not hesitate to call me. My phone number was on the email that sent out the invite. And like I said, I'll be seeing you in the halls down in Atlanta.
Great. Thank you, Jimmy. We appreciate you helping to prepare us. Yes.
This is David Wilkerson. Thank you for saying that. I do have a question. Are we expecting any pay raise bills to come through? The county level salary increases for just regular salary increases that we approve? Are we expecting any salary increases to come through this year, like any salary bills from the tax commissioner, the sheriff, or anybody else like that? Just, I mean, so we can be on the lookout. Well, let's put it this way. If you are, please, let us know earlier in the process. You can just shoot an email to me and I'll be on the lookout for that. So you don't have to say right now. The second thing is, I just want to thank, Janine Ebler's not on here, and the board. We have 5 members of the Board of Elections. They're appointed different ways, but basically it breaks down that 4 were appointed by Republicans, 1 by Democrat. And I will say they were above partisanship the whole time. For the last year plus, we met with them multiple times. They had multiple conversations with us. They answered our questions. They did some things we asked. They just didn't do some things we asked, but they were always open to making sure we understood the process and to try to always improve it. So I just want to say that, Janine did a great job working with us, and the board did a great job working with us. And so I just want you to be aware of that I will hold when they did that audit, it did not surprise me that there were no errors found out of 15,000, which was, you might have found 2 different issues, but it didn't surprise me because of the top level work that Cobb County does that we can be proud of. So I just want to put that out there because I know a lot of times people don't say thank you for what they do. And I just want to say thank you for what the county did and the Board of Elections did.
Thank you, Representative. I'm certain that our director will appreciate those comments. She and her team have really had a lot handed to them over the past half year or so, and have gone above and beyond to be responsive. And with all of that stress, they've done an outstanding job. So we will certainly pass that along. With that, again, everyone, thank you for your time in coming together this Friday morning to talk through our legislative interests for this year. Just encourage everyone to keep the conversation going. If you're moving things along and if we can be of support to you at the county, we'll certainly be glad to do so, and hope that you will continue to keep those doors open for us down at the state. Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful Friday and great weekend.